right, everyone. So we'll get started like we always do. So sitting up in your chair, allowing your back to support you and not leaning back in the chair like so. Okay. And I want you to look down at your toes and you are pretending that there's an imaginary line going across the front of the toes. And you don't have one foot further in front of the other foot, but instead the toes are all touching the line at the same place. And then you're going to lift your toes up, and I want you to spread them wide, really wide, so that you can feel almost a stretch in the webbing in between each of the toes. And then you're going to press your heels down so that you feel the quadriceps start to engage. And then keep pressing the heels down even as the toes start to release down to the floor. So quadriceps are engaged, heels are pressing down, and then you notice what your default is. So the default is either you lean forward typically, or you lean back and you drop your chest typically. So you're usually one of the two. And then once you notice what that default is, you're just going to start to rock a little bit forward and back on the sits bones. And what you're looking for as you're rocking is where is neutral? Okay, where's the very center of the sits bones? And when you find the center of those sits bones, you're going to keep it right there. And then just observe, are the heels still pressing down? If they're not, press them down again. Stay in neutral on the pelvis, and then you pull the low belly in just a little. And I want you to lift up through the front of the spine. Good. Let the shoulders come back so that the shoulder blades draw in towards the spine a little bit. And that just gives you a little bit of extra support. And then the chin is going to drop slightly down, slightly back. So you have length in the back of the neck. And then trying to maintain this as best as possible, you're going to let your eyes close. And I always like to begin classes with 3 cleansing breaths. So 3 times you're going to breathe in through the nose, you're going to open the mouth, sigh deeply out through the mouth. And of course, after you finish those 3 sighs, you're keeping your eyes closed, but you're starting to breathe just in and out through the nose, so nostril breathing. For those of you familiar with Ujjayi breath, you are welcome to start to engage that at this time or any time throughout class. And for those of you not familiar with Ujjayi breath, of course, I always like to teach it by pretending as if your mouth is closed, but you're saying the word ah as you breathe out. And you're going to feel this little constriction in the back of the throat. And then once that becomes comfortable on the exhalation, then you try to maintain that constriction also on the inhalation. And also reminding yourself that that's just an option. So if it doesn't feel like something you want to do today, don't do it. It's okay. Try it another day. And then lastly, before we open our eyes here, just observing for yourself where in the torso, where in the rib cage is your breath moving really easily, right? Where's the most amount of movement in the ribs? And also noticing where the breath is not moving very easily. So where is the least amount of movement in the rib cage as you breathe in and out? And then now at this time, just starting to slowly bring awareness back into your surroundings, letting your eyes start to flutter back open. And once your eyes are open, what you're going to notice is did you move back into that default at all? Right? So a lot of times we'll find that as we're bringing our awareness more inward, we start to go into our default posture. Okay? So if that happens, see if you can correct that. Right? I'm someone who typically likes to lean forward. I was leaning forward. So I'm going to find the center of my sits bones again, and I'm going to lift up through the chest. Beautiful. All right, we're going to start with a little bit of arms. You're going to bring both of your arms down by your sides. Your palms are going to face forward. And we're just going to inhale, reach the arms up. Maybe they come over the head. And then you're going to exhale and you're going to bring it all the way back down. Okay, so your breath, your pace. You might be moving at a different pace than I am. That's okay. Right. For those of you who maybe find it difficult to reach the arms all the way up, right, you might bring your arms just kind of out to the side and then bring them back down. And that means that your breath might be a little bit slower because the movement isn't quite as big. But still maintaining that nice, good seated mountain posture. All right. So the next time that your arms come back by your side, you're just going to keep them there. Good. And give a few shoulder rolls here, just bilaterally, both shoulders rolling back and down. Lovely. All righty. So for me, at least, I need to scoot forward just a little bit. I would say like maybe an inch in my chair. It's not too far. And your arms can either rest by your side or you can keep them on your thighs, whichever one's going to feel better for you. And all right, your first position for this will be maybe you're lifting your right heel off the floor and then the left heel. Maybe you find that you can lift the right foot off of the floor and then the left foot. Okay, maybe you let your arms come to the side and you let that knee lift a little bit higher and you're just going back and forth. So you determine which is best for you. And I will say that if you are lifting your foot off of the floor, you want to flex the foot. You don't want to let it just hang and dangle, but instead let it flex. And we're working a little bit with some core strength and a little bit with some hip flexor strength. All right, let's do one more each side. And this next exercise we're going to do is going to require a little bit of coordination. So if it is too difficult to do the arms and the legs together, just pick one or the other. All right. So when your right leg lifts, your left arm is going to lift. Okay. When your left leg lifts, your right arm is going to lift. So you're going opposite arm, opposite leg. Okay. Same thing as before. If it's not comfortable for you to lift your arm up, right, your modification is instead going to be like this. You might just reach the arm out to the side any amount. Very good. All right, let's do one more. And then after that one more, you have the option of continuing to do what you were doing, right? Or you also have the option of lifting both arms this time. So it would look like this. My right leg will lift. Both arms are going to lift. I'm going to bring that leg down, and then I'm going to go to the other side. Okay. Modification again might be your arms reach out to the side like so. Okay. And if lifting both arms doesn't feel good for you today, then you go back to opposite leg, opposite arm, or maybe just doing the legs or the arms only. So lots of options for this one. Good. One more each side. Love it. All righty. So we're going to twist dynamically next. And that means we're going to go to one side and then immediately to the other and just kind of go back and forth with that. So we're going to start twisting to the right first. You're going to inhale, reach the arms up. You're going to exhale, twist to the right. You're going to inhale, come back to center, reach the arms up. Beautiful. You're going to exhale, twist it back to the left. So every breath, you're moving. Okay, same modification applies to the arms. If it doesn't feel good to go above your head, you may reach your arms out to the side instead and twist. So I'm gonna do one more each side here, just at least at my pace for this count. And then after you do one more, each side come right into your cat cows. Okay, so remember cat cows, at least the way that I teach it, I like you to start at the tailbone to end at the head, and you're doing it one vertebra at a time. So it's very slow. It's not just one movement, right, like this, but it's more like a wave. All right. So you start tailbone. If you're exhaling, tailbone's coming forward, round the low back, the middle back, the upper back. Let that head drop. And then reversing that, letting the tailbone lift in one vertebra at a time, arching the back, allowing the head to lift. If it doesn't feel good for you to lift your head up, remember you can just look straight ahead. That's fine. Let's do one more. So, of course, it's a full breath and exhale and inhale, cat cow. And after you do that full breath, you're just moving right into your barrel rolls. When I do talk about barrel rolls, I like you to make the movement with the waist, with the belly button. Like the shoulders, I like to say the shoulders come along for the ride, but they are not in the driver's seat, right? So let the waist be in the driver's seat, making these circles. It's a nice way to get a good stretch, kind of in the front of the back, of course, but also the sides. Good. Next time you come forward, you're reversing that circle. Simply switch it, go the other direction. And I always like to kind of pay attention to, does one side feel easier than the other side? Because my circles feel a little less coordinated when I go the opposite direction. Because we're creatures of habit. We always go the same direction first, always. And go ahead and release that. Scoot forward just a little bit more in your chair to the point where you feel like you can straighten your right leg and place your heel on the floor. So a lot of times I find that like my thigh gets in the way. So that's why I have to scoot forward a little bit. And you're just going to inhale. You're going to lift your arms and then you're going to exhale. First position is maybe your forearms are resting on your knee. Okay, maybe that feels like enough stretch. I'm going to kind of do this sideways so you can see it a little bit better. You're pushing out through your heel. Okay, maybe you want a little more stretch and you can start to drop your hands down your ankle. Maybe it's down to your toes. Right, and you're in this position. You're taking some really deep breaths. So you stay there, keep breathing. Slowly in, slowly out. Good. And then you're just going to walk yourself all the way back up from whichever position you were in. And then we're going to go to the other leg. So the other leg is going to straighten out. Good. You want to push that heel away. Lift the arms up. And then first position, you might be resting on this thigh. You might find that you can place your hands down your leg, maybe down towards your toes. And of course, just taking some really slow, deep breaths. And then slowly walking yourself good all the way back up. So we're going to go ahead and stand up now at this time, and we're going to come right into our sun salutations. So seat of the chair is going to be facing you. And I just want you to start. If you need to grab some water, always during the transition, it's a great time to do that. And I'll give you a few moments to get some water if you need it. All right. But when you're standing in front of your chair, it's very similar to how we started our seated Tadasana, seated mountain pose. Now we're just starting with standing mountain pose. So you're going to look down at your toes and you're just going to notice that imaginary line again. So is one foot further in front of that imaginary line, or are all the toes touching that line at the same spot? Right? You want to have them all touching equally. And you're going to press down through the heels, and you'll feel when you press the heels down, those quads start to engage again. And that's what you're looking for. Nice, strong, engaged legs here. And then you lift up through the front of the spine, the shoulders roll back, and the palms are going to face forward. Beautiful. So inhale, you're going to reach your arms nice and high. Move from the hip crease. Exhale as you fold. You just place your hands on the seat of the chair. Got it. All right. So bend your right knee, and then you're going to lift your left arm forward twist. So maybe you put your hand on your hip if you want to modify that, or maybe that left arm reaches all the way up to the ceiling. And then you're slowly going to bring yourself back to center, and then you're going to switch sides. The left knee is going to bend, right arm is going to lift, twist. Right. Remember, if you want to modify, your hand is just coming right here onto your hip. Otherwise, you're really reaching through those fingertips up towards the ceiling. Good. Then you bring it all the way back to center. And then go ahead and walk your feet back to down dog, Adho Mukha. Okay, so in this down dog, check out that imaginary line again. Check out your feet, your toes, and see if you can lift your toes and press your heels down a little bit more and feel how the legs engage. So that's kind of the secret to getting your legs to be really fully engaged. Good. So we're going to look forward, come into your warrior one, right leg's coming forward, bend that right knee. Make sure the left heel's on the floor so you kick the foot out just a little bit. And then your options are, as always, are hands can stay in the seat of the chair. They can come to the back of the chair. You might take them to the hips, right? You can come out to the side. You can reach them out. There's lots of arm options for this warrior one pose. And you decide where you want to be. And then if you take my classes a lot, you know I say this pretty much every class, but I want you to push back a lot through your left leg. Okay, that's the back leg. So you're pushing that left heel down, right? Your toes probably aren't going to lift up, but even that action and that intention of lifting up the toes will help you engage that left leg. Good. Go ahead and take your hands back to the seat of the chair and then walk it on back. Adho Mukha, downward facing dog. Check out that imaginary line again. One foot's not further in front of the other. Let the toes lift. Press the heels down to engage the quads. Then we're going to do warrior one on the left side. Right, so left foot's coming forward. Right heel is down. Hands could be in the seat of the chair, the back of the chair, the hips, out to the side, or up in the air. And so this first sun salutation, we always go through it a little bit slower. And then we pick up the pace. We add a few more poses, right? But really push into your right heel. And that's the back leg. So the right heel pushes down. And even if the right toes don't come off the mat, the intention of lifting them up helps to engage the back leg a lot. Very nice. Go ahead and take your hands up back to the seat of the chair. And now you are coming into your forward fold, close to where we started. So you can stay in forward fold if you want a little more challenge, a little more work, right? You can put your weight in your heels, shift your hips back and come into a chair pose. So your hips drop, the knees bend, and the arms will reach straight out in front of you. Breathe. And then everybody, regardless of where you are, inhale, rise and shine, arms come up above the head. And then exhale, take it to the heart. Good. All right, we'll do that again. We'll add on, inhale, reach. Good. Exhale, fold. Hands on the seat of the chair. Bend your right knee. Lift your left arm, twist. Modify putting your hand on your hip. Good. Switch sides. Bend the left knee. Twist to the right. Beautiful. Take it all the way back down to center. Walk it back, downward facing dog. Adho Mukha. Check out that imaginary line. Right? So you let the toes lift, you press the heels down, engage through your quads. Let the tailbone lift up. And then the right leg is coming forward, warrior one pose. You've been here once before already. Determine where you want your arm. Press back through that left leg, down into the left heel. And maybe if your arms are lifted, you really reach through the fingertips. Feel like the ribs are moving away from the hips, away from the pelvis. Very good. Go ahead and take those hands down. Come back, down dog. That's your transition. Awesome. Left leg's coming forward. Warrior one, left side. Make sure the right heel is down. Determine where you want your arms. Good. Notice if your back leg is loosey-goosey. If it is, engage it. Press back and down into that right heel. Reach through the fingertips. Very good. Take your hands to the seat of the chair. Come into a forward fold. So this is where we're going to add on. Okay. You're going to start with the right foot, or the right leg, I should say. You're going to keep the foot flexed. You're going to bring it back, and you're just going to squeeze the heel up towards the glutes. And then you're going to bring it down, tap, squeeze the heel up towards the glutes. Bring it down, tap, and just do that several times. Right? You might find that the foot doesn't lift up very high. That's okay. You might look like this. You might look a little more like that. And that's fine. You're still working on strength in the hamstring. That's the back of the thigh. All right, we're doing one more. And then you're going to release that right leg down. And then, of course, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So now the left leg's coming back. As you're lifting that leg up, you want to keep your foot flexed, right? So you're going to squeeze the heel up towards the glute. Beautiful. Very nice. And then tap it down. You got it. Squeeze it up and tapping it down. Just doing that at your pace. Good. And remembering it might just come up a little bit off of the floor. There's nothing wrong with that, because you're still squeezing, you're still engaging that hamstring, a little bit of leg strength. And then come back into your forward fold. So maybe you want a little break after that. You can stay in forward fold. Or if you choose to take that chair pose, lift the toes, take the weight back into the heels, bend the knees and the hips drop. And maybe the arms reach out in front of you again. Get your breathing. And then everybody, regardless of where you are, inhale, rise and shine. Arms above the head, and then exhale, taking it back to the heart. Awesome. All right, we're going to do it again a little faster, and we're going to add on again. So inhale, reach. Exhale, fold, hands to the chair. Bend the right knee, twist to the left. Bring it back to center. Bend the left knee, twist to the right. Good, bring it back to center. Walk it back, downward facing dog, Adho Mukha. Check out that imaginary line. Really lift up through the tailbone. And then look forward, warrior one, right side. So the right leg is bent. Left leg is engaged. Arms are wherever feels good for you. Maybe the arms are getting tired and you want to take a break and put them on your hips. That's fine. Very good. Take your hands to the seat of the chair, and you're going to hop your back foot forward just a little bit, maybe about a foot distance, and you're going to straighten your right leg. Okay, that's the front leg, so you're going to straighten it. And I know I've talked about this before in classes, but I will show you just kind of briefly right now. So I myself am a locker. So if I am told to straighten my leg, I'm going to straighten it and lock it. Okay, but you don't want to do that. It actually causes a lot of pressure in the knee that you don't need. So you're going to have a little micro bend, right? So not locked, but a little micro bend there. That's really important. It also helps you use your muscles just a little bit more. Okay. So you can stay here. It's intense leg stretch. You should feel a stretch in the back of your front leg. If you don't, then you're going to start to maybe reach your hands forward and focus on your tailbone lifting. Maybe if you need more, the forearms can come down, still lifting up through the tailbone. Right, so this hamstring that we're stretching, it is attached to our sits bones. So by lifting the tailbone up, moving the pelvis, you're going to stretch that leg just a little bit more. Beautiful. Go ahead and bend that right knee. Make your way back into your downward facing dog. That's your transition. And then we're going to the other side. So left leg's forward, warrior one. Determine where you want your arms. Again, if they're getting tired, maybe they're on your hips, maybe your hands are on your chair. Mhm. But you're really reaching back through the right leg. Breath is deep, slow. And then you're going to take your hands onto the seat of the chair, hop your right foot forward about a foot distance, and then you're going to straighten the left leg, right? So not locking it, okay, but just straightening it. Little micro bend there. And then if you want, right, you might start to walk your hands forward a bit. Focus on not having the back rounded, but instead lifting the tailbone up, right? Not here, but my tailbone is lifting up. And then maybe you drop down onto the forearms, but still focusing on that tailbone, reaching back and up. Good. Bring yourself back up. And you are coming to forward fold. Okay, look at the imaginary line. Make sure your feet are where they're supposed to be. And then bring your right foot behind you. Flex the foot. Squeeze the heel up towards the glute. And then tap it down. And then you squeeze it up. And you tap it down, just like we were doing earlier. Right. And then switch sides. So now the left foot's coming behind you. And then you're going to keep the foot flexed as the foot lifts. Squeeze the glute. Bring it back down, tap. So heel moving towards the glute, the hamstring, the glutes, all engaged. Good, last one here. And then you bring it back to your forward fold, being mindful of that imaginary line. And then you can stay in forward fold, or again, if you want to take your chair pose, weights in the heels, you drop the hips, maybe the arms reach out in front, right? Engage the low belly. Awesome. Inhale, rise and shine all the way up. And exhale, take it to the heart. Perfect. So I'm going to turn towards you. You can continue to face whatever direction you want. It's just easier for demonstration for me to turn. We're just going to do standing half moon. So you're going to grab your right wrist and just reach over to the left. Good. Switch sides. You're going to grab the left wrist, reach over to the right. Beautiful. Bring it all the way back. Release that down. And then you are going to stand next to your chair on the right side. And you are going to have the chair here for a little bit of support if you feel like you need it. Righty. So what I'm going to have you do, it's kind of like tree. but a little bit different. So if I'm standing on my left leg, okay, I'm going to come maybe to my tippy toes. I might flex my foot and hover my foot. I might bring my knee up, and I might take my hand and clasp my leg or my knee and bring it in just a little bit more. Okay, so you can be in any of those positions. They're all good. And then maybe you play with your balance a little bit. So can you come to the fingertips on the chair, loosen your grip a little bit? Maybe you can reach your arm out to the side. Breath is slow. Good. And then you're going to come out of that slowly, right, with intention. And then we'll do that on the other side. Now we're standing on that right leg. Right? You start to see, how does it feel to be on the tippy toes? What is that like? Maybe it feels okay for you to flex your foot and lift the foot a little bit off the floor. So very similar to what we did seated, right? Maybe you lift the knee up. Maybe you grab around your shin or your knee, either one. Okay. But this standing leg is strong, very strong. And then maybe you play around a little bit with, what does it feel like to come to my fingertips, loosen my grip? Maybe you reach the arm out to the side, full balance. And then when you're ready, you slowly come out just like you came in. Wonderful. So I'm going to have you sit down. And we're going to do a little bit with pigeon right now. Okay. So if you are not doing pigeon, or perhaps you recently had hip surgery, right, your modification, you can be more like in a cross-legged position or cross-ankled position. And one leg is going to be straight out from the hip, and the other leg that crosses over the front, you're going to just start to work on a very, very gentle, small amount of that external rotation. Okay, so this is your modification here. Otherwise, we'll take our right ankle and we'll cross it over our left knee. Good. And so people with back pain, with sciatica, this is a really wonderful stretch for you to do. You can stay upright, but if you do want to lean forward to increase that stretch that you feel, you have to keep in mind that it's like your chest is moving over your shin. Okay. So I'm not doing this. It takes away the stretch in my hip, and it also makes my back feel worse. So you're leaning forward. Think of moving from that hip crease that we talk a lot about. And you just start to move forward. And we're holding this for a minute. And I'm just timing us a full minute. I notice a lot of times that people will tighten their jaw, they'll clench their teeth when they come into these pigeon poses, these hip stretches. Just notice if you're doing that. About 20 more seconds, not too bad. And then you will slowly come out of that. Okay. And then we'll go to the other side. So same thing. If you're not coming into this full external rotation, then the other leg straight. One ankle crosses in front, and you just work on this starting to open up. Just work on relaxing that space. Otherwise, you're coming into your seated pigeon, ankle over the knee. Okay. Find the hip crease if you're going to move forward, right? You move from that hip crease. So the chest, you energetically and moving it forward over the shin, over and down. Okay. And then, same as before, we hold this for a full minute. Relax your jaw as best as you can. Breathe. Maybe you find that Ujjayi breath once again. And halfway there, about 30 seconds left. And then slowly release out of that. Very nice. All right. So at the end of the chair yoga classes, you guys know I like to give you the opportunity to go somewhere that is comfortable. Grab my water, a little thirsty. So I want you to go somewhere that's comfortable. That could mean that you are laying on your couch, you're going to your bed, going into a lazy boy. But the idea is that you're somewhere